Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press on December 19, 2014. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspapers posted on public bulletin boards in the Township website.
Everyone, please silence your cell phones or turn them off, and roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Here.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Here.
Councilwoman Lydecker.
Here.
Councilman Fosman.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Here.
Vice President DeYoung.
Here.
President Momolo.
Here.
Thank you.
Everyone, please rise for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please accept and file the reports.
Yes, thank you.
I'd like to get a motion and a second to approve the minutes for December 30th and January 6th, December 30th, 2014, and January 6th, 2015.
Mr. President, I make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Moore, second by Councilwoman Pontarero.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lydecker.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Momolo.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have some presentations tonight to Students of the Month, which I'll have everybody up. Mayor, would you meet me up at the front? Dr. Lewinsky, would you like to get us up here too? Thank you. All right, we'll start off with Brick Township High School. This is something that Councilwoman Lydecker started last year to recognize the students of the month, which is great. This is a great opportunity to feature children that are doing a great job in their academic careers. So we're going to continue this. Me as Council President definitely want to continue it. So we're going to start off with the candidates or students of the month from Brick High School. We have, who's here from Brick High School? Oh, who's here from Brick High School, sir? Come on up. Whoever's up. Oh, okay. Too far back. How are you? Your name? Matthew. We have Matthew Lafredo. Congratulations. Megan? Megan Brutaco. John Barton. We also have Taylor Geddes, which is not here, I believe. Congratulations. Congratulations to you all.
See a picture. Photo op. Good job, Joe.
Now I'd like to have the students from Brick Memorial come on up, please. We'll try to do everybody, and I'll read everybody who's not here. You, Jonathan. What's that? Eli. Okay, we'll get you. They're here somewhere. Brandon Ritchie. Eli, hopefully I'm not going to mess up your last name. Eli Eisenstein. Close? We also have Erin Matula, Sawyer Patton, Lauren Halloran, Emily Humphreys, and Chloe LaValerie. Congratulations. Parents can come up if you like.
Photo op.
Just stand, he's not taking any pictures.
You want to have my,
Yeah.
Good teamwork. Good teamwork.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Mom Balls.
Congratulations again to all the students. Great job. Keep up the good work. Now, part of that, the certificate is that you have to stay for the whole council meeting. You can't leave at all, otherwise we get the certificates back. No, thank you all for coming, too.
You don't really have to stay.
No. It does get exciting, though.
They have homework to do, Paul.
That's why they're students of the month.
No. All right, we're going to start with 4.1, Matitaconk Village Redevelopment Plan Amendment. This is your first reading ordinances, so they won't be open to the public discussion. But I'd like to have the clerk read the title for that.
Sure. An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending the Matitaconk Village redevelopment plan.
I'd like to ask the mayor if he'd like to give us an explanation on that.
Sure, thank you. What this new plan is going to do, the new amended plan, is take out residential. The old plan had allowed residential, and actually if the prior redeveloper did the hotel as he was contracted to, he could have done as much residential there under the old agreement. So I wanted to make sure that there's no residential at all allowed on the Food Town site. And it's not only not a permitted use, but is now also a prohibited use and no longer, allowed at all. So this, if it's passed by the council, which I'm hopeful it will be, there will no longer be a chance of residential going onto the Food Town site, which I think is consistent with what we want done here in town. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call for a motion and a second to pass the resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontarero, second by Councilman Fosman.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lydecker.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Mamalo.
Yes.
Thank you.
4.2 is a resolution authorizing amendment to the Matitaconk Village redevelopment plan to the planning board. This basically is sending what we just passed to the planning board for their review between now and the second reading.
Make a motion?
Make a motion, please. And call for a motion in a second.
Sorry, Council President, I was a little fast.
Forgot about that.
It's quick on the draw.
Call for a motion in a second, please.
I make a motion?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fosman, second by Councilwoman Pontarero.
Councilman
Roll call.
Moore. Oh, sorry. Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lydecker.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Momolo.
Yes.
Thank you.
5-1, a Matiticon Village redevelopment plan mixed use overlay zone.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending Township Code Section 245-298.1.
Thank you. Mayor, would you like to explain this as well?
Sure. What you see over at, behind the shop right next to the post office back there, in that area, that's called a mixed-use zone, meaning there's retail going to be there with residential up top. Well, that's what the Food Town was amended for, to allow the mixed-use overlay zone to be over the Food Town property. So in conjunction with the last, amendment and redevelopment plan, we don't want to have residential there, so we're going to get rid of the mixed-use residential zone. Mixed-use zone, so there's absolutely no misunderstanding that we do not want residential properties on the Food Town property. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I call for a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Pontarero, second by Councilman Fosman.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lydecker.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Momolo.
Yes.
Thank you.
5-2 is a resolution authorizing amendment to the mixed-use overlay zone to the planning board for review. Basically, this is what we just passed, but this is the resolution that will go in front of the planning board for their approval. Call for a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontarero and second by Councilman Fosman. You see their competition tonight. They're doing pretty good on this side.
Can't get a word in it.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lydecker.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Momolo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Move on to the consent agenda.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. Would any council member like a resolution removed? Seeing none, we'll continue. 6-1, authorize amendment to temporary budget. I'd like to ask our business administrator, Joanne, to explain that, please. Thank you.
This is standard operating procedure. Each year, we have to put a percentage of our budget forward as a temporary budget until our budget is adopted, and which we did at the last meeting, but we are making amendments to that as needed to function until we have a budget.
Thank you. 6-2 is authorized budget appropriation transfer. Basically, what that is we're transferring $70,000 from salary and wages to the utility account. This was needed to be done for 2015. 6-3, authorize application, Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Grant. I'd like to ask Councilwoman Zapsik if she'd like to explain that, please.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution will authorize the Township's application to the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse to fund the Brick Municipal Alliance. We received notification back in December that we are eligible for $39,523 in grant funding. The Township has a cash match requirement of $9,881, which has already been met through fundraising, and an in-kind contribution of $29,642, which that match will come through our DARE officers and some of the other programs that are already in place in the Township. So we will be able to apply for this money, receive it, and conduct these programs at no cost to the taxpayer.
Very good. Thank you, Councilwoman. 6-4, authorize application Safe Secure Communities Grant 2015. I'd like to ask Councilwoman Pontarero for an explanation, please.
Thank you, President Councilman Mumolo. Wow, that was hard to say. Okay. The Safe and Secure Communities Program was enacted into law in 1993. This is a grant we apply for every year. It helps to offset some of our costs of maintaining our police force. It actually represents the cost of 2 of our DARE officers, and in turn, the grant gives us approximately $60,000 and some odd dollars. So this is something we apply for every year, helps to offset some of our police costs, which we desperately need.
Great, thank you very much. 6.5, authorize application Ocean County Tourism Grant. I'd like to ask Vice President DeYoung to explain that, please.
Thank you. This is a tourism promotional matching grant that we received from the county in the amount of $1,500. The matching grant is raised through our Summerfest fund, and it's only used for our Summerfest funds, and everything that we raise through Summerfest in order to put it on is non-taxpayer dollars, so it's all used through our fundraising.
Thank you. 6.6, authorize advice and consent for fair and open professional services contract with alternate municipal prosecutor. What we did is we had appointed alternate municipal prosecutor, and what we're doing is we're adding 2 names from that firm, Robert A. Rothstein and John M. Itelli, which is the firm of Rothstein, Mandel, and Strom and Halm, which has previously been appointed alternate municipal prosecutor. 6.7 is authorized receipt of bids 2015-2016 printing of tax bills. This is to authorize the town to go out to bid for printing our tax bills for 2015-2016. Last year, our cost was $20,164. 6.8, authorized receipt of bids, construction supplies. We're going to be soliciting bids for lumber and related materials. The county co-ops we belong to do not have vendors willing to extend their prices to municipalities. So with this bid, we're going to go out for that. 6.9, authorized receipt of bids, recreation uniforms. I'll ask Councilwoman Zapsik, if she'd like to explain that, please.
Thank you, Council President. This is a 2-year contract. Last year, in the last 2-year period, the expenditures were $26,600. This will cover the shirts, T-shirts, sweatshirts, golf shirts, hats, et cetera, and then staff shirts for the Recreation Department. The Recreation Basketball League, Softball League, Senior Sports Program, and the BMAC Golf Tournament, those sponsorships more than cover the cost of those shirts. The other shirts are, as I said, staff shirts for the beach, the lifeguards, the parks maintenance crew, and again, for a 2-year period, we are going out to bid.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Zapsik is chair of our Parks and Recreation Committee. That's why she's very knowledgeable on these things. Thank you. 6.10, authorized award of bid for janitorial services. We're awarding the bid to Integrity Facility Service. It's a new service that came in lower than last year's rate. 6.10, authorize execution of agreements, lifeguard services for private beach associations. I'd like to ask Councilwoman Zapsik again, if she'd like to explain that.
President Mumolo, this is 6.11.
Did I say 6.10?
You
I
did.
apologize, 6.11. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. This is authorizing an agreement between the Township and the private beaches, some of the private beach associations on the Barrier Island. Under New Jersey law, if your organization runs an open water beach operation, you are obligated to comply with United States Life-Saving Association guidelines for public safety. And that includes number of guards, how frequently they're rotated, the expanse of the beach that they guard, the break time, the training, the safety measures, the equipment, et cetera. Basically what it means is that if you're running a beach, you can't hire a 15-year-old, give him a whistle and a sand chair and call him a lifeguard. It has to be done to the United States Life Saving Association standards. Several years ago, the township was approached by a group of executive board members from some of the private beach associations who were really just too small to meet these regulations. It's too onerous for them, and they asked the township if we would be willing to extend our lifeguard services on a fee-for-service basis to them. So an hourly rate was negotiated that covers the township payroll costs, the payroll deductions, and the training of those guards. So we were able to provide that service and make sure that everyone that's using our beaches, whether they're for township-owned beaches or private beach associations, are safe and secure over the summer.
Very good. Thank you very much. 12A, this is tax collector. 12A is 100% DAV refund and cancel taxes. It's for the block 380.13, lot 37, Eric Court for $282.83. 12B, veterans deductions granted for 281 North Street for $250. 12C, senior citizen deduction granted for 54 Skyline Drive for $250, 113 Waterfront Drive for $250. 12D, exempt from paying taxes due to the fact of acquired by Homes Now, which is a tax-free organization. It's block 1092, lot 1, $3,536.28. E, 12E, exempt for paying taxes fact acquired by police and firemen's retirement systems. That's block 755, lot 37, the amount of $218.90. 12F, acquired by the police and firemen's retirement system, block 340, lot 71-.003, for the amount of $376.64. 12G, this is a detention basin that's been acquired by the township. It's block 755, lot 35.12. We also have 12H, which is, this has been acquired by the United States of America. It's part of the foresight. It's block 195, lot 2. It's 8 acres of wetlands. Got quite a few of these tonight. 12I is also acquired by the United States of America. It's block 195, lot 21. It's 1.5 acres of landlocked, low-lying land. 12J. These are overpayments of taxes, assessments for the year of 2013 and 2014 due to the County Board Appeals being granted. 528 Normandy Drive for $810.04. 106 Osprey Lane for $2,932.98. 307 Barker Teen Lane for $36.82. 24 Sandy Point Drive for $340.50. 72 East Coral Drive for $86.79. 3 Halsey Drive for $57.34. 3 Captain's Drive for $746.39. 3 Brenton Court for $374.51. 644 Princeton Avenue for $234.35. 504 Carroll Fox Road, $567.09. 1190 Route 70, $10,823.69. $12K. Overpayments for the year of 2011 and 2012 on block 548.02, lot 26.02, $12,218.93. 12L, overpayments for the tax years of 2011 through 2013 on Block 381.01, Lot 5. This is for $7,103.90. And we have 12M, overpayments for the years 2011 through 2014 on Block 755.01, Lot 3, $1,172.61. And we have 12N is overpayments for the tax years 2011, 2012, Block 867, Lot 3, for $280.49. I'll call for a motion and a second to add the consent agenda. Any questions first on the consent agenda from anyone? Council? No. Call for a motion?
Motion.
Second.
That was close. Motion by Councilwoman Pontarero, and we'll give that one to Councilwoman Lydecker. With that, I'll open public questions on the resolutions that were just read off. Anyone from the public? This is on the resolutions. Sir? Yeah, you come up, please. The blue shirt.
Sam Foster, 108 Chico Drive. Quick question on number 8, resolution number 8, about the construction supplies. I hate, this is controversial, but do you know, does Brick Township have a policy about buying lumber from environmentally, not from rainforest that would hurt the environment? What is the policy? Can you are you right? Can you state right now on the record to ensure the public that we're not going to be buying anything, or me? It's a concern of mine that we're not buying any lumber from, like, say, rainforests in the Amazon.
Well, usually the township doesn't use lumber of that nature.
When you say
think
lumber,
lumber
what
is
is it for?
plywood, and it's all foresty. I'm not quite sure if there's anything on the books that say we
'Cause
can't, but
Yeah, I know that there was a
most of it
controversy
is all
about the
forested and
the boardwalks
it's
had-
sustained,
sustainable growth,
sustainable
exactly, yeah.
growth, yeah. I
Okay.
don't know for sure, but I would
Okay.
think that's, most of all the lumber yards are all done.
Yeah,
Like
'cause I know
Warehouse are all the big companies that
Seaside had
that sell to them.
Controversy a while ago when they replaced some of the planking, and it was from a logging area in the rainforest of the Amazon. I was just curious if you.
Yeah, I don't
aware of
believe
that.
we'll be using anything of that
Okay,
nature.
all right, so when you say construction, it's more like building construction, not necessarily anything like docks or anything like that, then?
2x4s,
Okay.
plywood, things of that nature, things
All
of
right, I just want to
construction stuff.
confirm, because that's a concern of mine, is the environment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sir? In the purple tie.
Scott? Yes, I have a question.
Please state your name and your address.
Sure. Guy with the purple, George Scott.
That's it,
16
purple
Queen
tie.
Ave.
Thank you.
I have a question on 6.2 and 12 E and F, but prior to that, since you're the new president, is the format going to be, you also have resolutions on 4.2 and 5.2. Are you going to allow public to ask questions on resolutions?
On the second, for second reading. On the resolutions,
Public doesn't ask on ordinances on the
Right.
first reading, but they do have the ability to ask questions on resolutions. You passed a resolution, two of them,
4.2.
matter of fact, 4.2.
4.2 and 5.2.
5.2, but no questions. I mean, is that going to be your format, or can I ask why you didn't allow?
well,
any
that's going to be
questions?
seen, that's going to the planning board. We passed that, the planning board's going to see that next week on
I
that
see that.
resolution.
I could read and understand what you said, but it's
Okay.
still a resolution, so my question
Well, tonight I'm
specifically-
not going to allow anything on those two.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think it's wrong, but I guess that's your prerogative. 6.2, budget transfers, $70,000 to electric. I thought with the solar panel, we were looking to lower our electric costs, thought we were gonna go on the grid August, September, whenever we did. Why are we short $70,000 is my first question. And $50,000 out of a Social Security account. Social Security is a fixed number. I mean, to have that money just there seems like a lot of money to be laying loose.
This isn't necessarily reflective of us being short in any line items. This is just something that our CFO does to move money from one account to the next, one account that has excess, one account that the percentage we were allowed to bring over in a temporary budget may not cover for the year. It doesn't mean we're over or under budget in totality. This is just making our temporary budget work. So this isn't reflective of being under budget or over budget in a particular line item for the year. It's moving funds from one to the next until we have a budget.
But I assume the fact that we're moving $70,000, that we're under it in that particular case if we needed the 70.
We have it at this moment in time because we're 2 years into, 2 months, not even 2 months into a new year, and he's working with a finite budget that we're allowed to start for a temporary budget, so this is his way of keeping us financially whole until we have a budget.
Okay. This is something new on, as far as E&F that I've seen. Police and Firemen's Retirement System. What is that, what does that specifically mean? And the
Oh,
amounts
those
were
were-
small, so I'm sure that
There
these
was
are-
a foreclosed properties. The mortgages were held by them, and they took the properties back. They were foreclosed. You're talking about the tax appeals that went back?
Yes, on
Yeah,
E&F.
they were foreclosed townhomes, I believe.
The PERS system, from what it was explained to us, most likely lent these folks money, and they defaulted on that, so PERS comes in as the lien holder.
And I suspect they'll be sold at some point. I don't know for sure, but then they become taxable again.
So they're like is it like a pension fund with the police and firemen, but not our local, right? This is.
This is an individual person's fund.
When you say individual.
Property owner.
Okay, but
No,
this got to be
think I understand
tax
your question.
exempt somehow.
Your question is Police and Firemen's Retirement System a tax exempt entity? And the answer
Yes.
is yes,
Oh, yeah.
it is. And because they have apparently through foreclosure acquired title to this property and now are the holder of the title, when a nonprofit entity holds title to land, it is exempt from taxes until such time as it transfers title to another entity or a person when it goes back on the tax rolls. So it's a sort of an unusual situation here where the police and firemen's PERS was the mortgage holder and foreclosed on. They happen to be a not-for-profit mortgage holder and is now the title owner.
Okay. I'm good.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public for, this is on the resolutions? Come up, please, thank you. On the consent agenda, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. It's not Maple Leaf. That's coming, but it's not.
Okay, just making sure.
Jim Cancel, Maple Leaf. Just what you were saying quickened something to me. You're saying that if someone takes over a foreclosed property and it's a nonprofit organization, they don't have to pay tax on it?
Yeah, this is specific to that.
It's not just
particular-
if they take, it's not necessarily that they take by foreclosure, it's if they are entitled to a tax, if they're a tax exempt entity
Yeah.
and they acquire title to property, then they are, exempt from the taxes.
For instance, Maple Leaf Park actually takes over a lot of foreclosed properties. They're a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, nonprofit is different from tax exempt.
Tax.
If I said nonprofit, I was mistaken.
No, you
It-
might not have. I might
Yeah.
have got it wrong. Okay, so that's different.
It can be different, yes.
So who are some of these nonprofit
Tax
organizations?
exempt entities.
Yeah.
The
Homes
is
Now,
one of the
which is one of the
501c3
ones that was read off.
organizations. There's a whole list of them. If you want, I think the New Jersey State website, they give examples in specific types of tax exempt entities.
Oh. And it's cost how much, Brick? How much does that cost?
It was
Brick?
$280, I think, one of them.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. Thank you. Anyone else from the public? All right, seeing none, I will call for a motion and a second to end the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontarero, a second by, we'll give this one to Vice President DeYoung.
Councilman Moore?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lydecker?
Yes.
Councilman Fosman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero?
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung?
Yes.
President Momolo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 613, bill resolution, computer bill resolution 2015.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $2,314,288.39.
Thank you. Does any other council members have a question?
Council President?
Yes.
If I could ask our business administrator,
Please.
page 48, Meridian Occupational Health, physical screening, physical stress tests. At the end of the year, I was just curious if there were, I would presume several since the amounts were high.
Yeah, actually, yes, there were several, and, there's pages and pages and pages of, from, employees that we sent over there. We're a month,
This bill list is a month's worth of bills, where normally we do this twice a month, so this is a much larger bill list than we normally see because it's end of the year. So that's one piece of it. The other piece is that those special officers we hired and sent to the academy all needed pre-employment physicals and the psychiatric evaluations as well. And we also had end-of-the-year examinations to send many of our DPW employees who are required to have exams annually as part of the DOT requirements for the licenses they hold. So a lot of that came up at once. There were a few different factors that led.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I have a question on page 58, Nobility Crest at Brick. It says refund of overpayment for $25,659.
They actually paid twice for some of the permit applications that they processed downstairs in our land use department. Originally, they were bifurcating sections of the projects to different permits, and that kind of created some confusion. So they ended up paying twice for some of the permit applications, and we need to refund them accordingly.
Great, thank you. I'll call for a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontarero, second by Councilman Fosman. I'll open to public on the bill resolution, computer bill resolution. Anyone have any questions? Seeing that, I'll close public. Roll call.
Councilman Moore?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik?
Abstain on New Jersey Press Media, and yes to the rest.
Councilwoman Lydecker?
Yes.
Councilman Fosman?
Abstain on the MUA and yes to the rest.
Councilwoman Pontarero?
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung?
Yes.
President Momolo?
Yes.
Thank you.
614, manual bill resolution 2015.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $5,004,279.83.
Thank you. Open to the council. Any questions? Call for a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fosman, second by Councilwoman Vice President DeYoung. Open to the public. Anyone on? Closed to the public. Seeing that, roll call, please.
Councilman Moore?
Abstain township payroll, and yes to the rest.
Councilwoman Zapsik?
Abstain on New Jersey Press Media, and yes to the rest.
Councilwoman Lydecker?
Yes.
Councilman Fosman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero?
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung?
Yes.
President Momolo?
Yes.
Thank you.
7 is ordinance on the first reading. There's no public hearing on the first reading of these ordinances. 7.1 is amend Chapter 245, land use, building height.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing the Township Code of the Township of Brick so as to amend Chapter 245 entitled Land Use.
Thank you. We recently passed this ordinance, and what we're doing is we're changing the explanation. It's to deal with the elevation in NAVD 88. After some engineers and architects looked at it, they had some questions, so we're rewording it so it's easier for them to understand. All right, got a motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontorero, second by Councilwoman Zapsik. Roll call?
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lydecker.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Momolo.
Yes. 7.2, amend Chapter 245, Land Use, Conditional Uses, OP and OPT zones.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing the Township Code of the Township of Brick so as to amend Chapter 245 entitled Land Use.
Thank you. What this is removing conditional uses from our areas that are zoned OP and OPT zones. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontorero, second by Vice President DeYoung. Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lydecker.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Oh, yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Momolo.
Yes. 7.3, amend our official zoning map.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing the Township Code of the Township of Brick so as to amend the official zoning map of the Township of Brick.
I'd like to have our township planner, Michael Fowler, explain that.
Is it all right if he displays it? this way?
Sure.
Yeah,
that's
we-
fine.
Yes.
We have a copy
We
of
have a
it.
copy.
Yes.
Thank you, Michael.
I just asked to come this evening to explain the changes to the township zoning.
Microphone.
I did the same
Yeah.
thing.
The existing zoning map, which I'll show to the council that we already have in the packets, to the public, which is a black and white version of the township's map. And the zoning map basically designates all the parcels within the township and their allowed land use. So there's a number of zones, most of them divided between business and residential. We all have some office and some small industrial zones within the township. The map we've had for all these many years is a black and white version. So if you wanted to know if you were in the B2, your general business zone, you had to look at the map, try to find an area that was designated as B2 general business, and then follow the black lines that surrounded that zone and totally enclosed it. You know, that's what a B2 zone is. And earlier on, when we had the map, this old Mylar, the Mylar, and sure as the map gets utilized, even though it's not once we've gone through it, we may pick up spelling errors or other things on the map, that we've missed over time. Again, it's all about using it. We leave back 6 months to make some change on things that we may have overlooked when we did the revision. That's all.
Thank you, Michael. Does anyone from the public have any questions they'd like to ask Michael? Pardon?
Once it goes through
Once
second
it-
reading and then 20 days after it's published, it will be available online.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Michael.
Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you very much.
It's very pretty.
The call for a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Pontarero, second by Councilwoman Lydecker. Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lydecker.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Momolo.
Yes. Here we are, public comments. What's that? You want me to read that? I'll read that.
What is it? I'm sorry.
Please note, please note each person addressing the council during this section of the meeting during which the public comment is permitted shall be limited to his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B. Thank you. Who wants to be first? Ma'am?
Good evening. It's very nice to see you sitting there, President Momolo,
Thank you.
and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Before I go to what I really wanted to talk about, because this is combined, public and caucus, and I've mentioned this before, I suggest you really give us a little bit more information than you do. The one in particular is the one, if I can find it, which side? Oh, yes, it's on the side. It's 7-2. I don't think anybody here or watching at home has any idea what the OP and OPT zones are. So when you're telling that there's going to be conditional uses, give an explanation of the letters. What I really came to talk to the council about, and I have said it for many years, that you're our go-to people. We don't get the opportunity to see many of the higher governmental agencies or bring our cares, but in this case, it really involves Brick. I don't remember exactly how long ago Comcast was given an agreement. The council made an agreement with Comcast. I don't think it's called a contract. And I know it's non-exclusive, but de facto, it is exclusive because the rest of the government of the state of New Jersey did not hold Verizon's feet to the fire, nor did the people know or have opportunity to talk when they gave an agreement to Verizon that they didn't have to put FiOS in every location, only in certain areas. So therefore, I am denied FiOS, which would be my option. In the past couple of weeks, I have become exceedingly angry and causing my blood pressure to rise, and my doctor won't be happy, at the fact that the service I'm paying for, which has increased and increased, is not giving me what I was used to. At first I thought, well, it did say, my service went out for a while one day, I don't remember, and because I dislike Comcast so much, I called them, and I said, what's the problem? It was a Sunday, I believe, and they came back and told me, no, it was a work day, that they were putting in a software change, which didn't make sense, and I'm fairly sure that it was something else, because I was in that business. We did cutovers for new software at like 3, 4 in the morning, and since that time, I have one cable topset box and 2 digital TV adapters, transmission adapters. So the DTV, I don't ever get a guide. But the set-top box I rely upon, and I go to that room to find out what's on the different channels. Well, the only thing that's been going on for well over a week is to be announced, to be announced, to be announced, to be announced for every time slot on every channel. I'm very angry, and I'd like somebody to contact Comcast and see why they're not giving us the service we deserve and pay for. That set-top box costs several dollars a month. The DTA, I think, I don't know if it's $1 a piece now a month or more than that. But I was used to it. I go to Brooklyn where my son has FiOS. He has a better TV guide than I do. And it's very annoying because I've never been happy with the service for Comcast. There was a time where, in fact, every time I had to call them for service, my first question was, have I told you lately how much I hate Comcast? And I'm sorry, but that's the actual truth of my words, hate. And I don't like to use it. So if you could please tell Comcast, get on the ball and see about giving us some refunds because we're not getting what we need. And now you need it for even the low-grade channels. They have made them all that you have to have, the adapter or a set-top box.
Thank you. Mayor, would you like to, I know we've discussed this quite a bit.
Sure, just so everybody, 15-year contract was entered into 5 years ago with Comcast. There's still 10 years left on that contract. And the Verizon FiOS thing, I think I went over a couple times. We didn't have enough people per square mile. The least amount was 7,115 people per square mile. We have about 2,300, so we were nowhere near getting FiOS, and we're not a county seat. And that was an agreement made with the legislature, with the assemblymen from the north and the assemblymen from the south made that agreement, and we're not going to get FiOS.
No. And I do believe if your TV's off or any, you're supposed to get a credit from them, but they're not going to notify you. You pretty much have to call them. They're not volunteering.
Nan, can I ask you what kind of box you actually have before you answer? Can you just tell me what kind of actual box you have?
Well, the set-top box that I think they call it.
Set-top?
Set-top or cable box. That one is an Explorer device. In fact, now I think Cisco has that they make it.
Okay.
And it's a big box, and it has extra features. The digital adapter is
Small.
a square thing, about this square, and only about this high. And it has the antenna in, antenna out, and the electric. But you have to have that now. And not that I'm picking on you at all, and I'm not picking on you. I think you're all doing a very good job. I hope you continue. But I brought this up long ago when there was 100% Republicans and councilmen, and what I brought it up is I deal with a lot of the elderly in my community, and they can't figure out how to use their remote. They need somebody to help them connect VCRs, which are going out of existence. And I do all that. They call me the cable lady, some of them, because I do it. And I complain that they're going to go digital, and my elderly people aren't going to know what to do, and they're going to have a hard time. And I was assured by a councilman who was the liaison at the time that, oh, no, you're not going to have to pay for the digital adapter. So that went on for a year or two. And then they put the fee in. It was always in their plan to do that, but it wasn't advertised. So one, I'm paying, I'm not sure how much, I think it costs about $6 a month for the box, and only on that one can I really get the guide and bring it up while I'm watching the show. Now, I have to go through 72 channels, one at a time, try to see what the heck is on, and it's very annoying, because they change the programs, they change what channel it's on. There's a few things that I know all the time, but not the regular formats. Okay?
Thank you. Here from public, sir?
My name is John O'Rourke, 468 West Lake Drive. During the public session of the council meeting on December 9th, I requested that the Brick Council consider beginning the public sessions with a prayer in place of the moment of silence. The Supreme Court opinion in Town of Greece versus Galloway in New York in May 2014 was my inspiration for this request. Justice Kennedy, writing for the majority in essence, said that beginning public meetings with a prayer did not violate the Constitution, and that this situation differed from prayer in school because an adult who objected to a prayer could leave the room where the public meeting was being held. But a student who objected to a prayer could not leave the classroom. President Lydecker at the time acknowledged my having contacted her about the subject and referred my request to Mr. Starkey, the township attorney, who said that a prayer was allowed at council meetings, and Mr. Starkey also agreed with Ms. Lydecker that since this was the next to last meeting before the council reorganized in January, I make this request to the council after the reorganization meeting. In the United States Senate and the House of Representatives, they begin their daily sessions by having the appointed chaplains recite a prayer. In fact, it is possible to obtain the prayer said each day by the chaplain of the House of Representatives by going to www.chaplain.house.gov. According to a report by the National Conference of State Legislators, 48 states returned their survey indicating that an opening prayer is offered each session day in at least one chamber of those 48 states. Although the New Jersey Assembly did not return this request from the National Conference of State Legislators, the New Jersey Senate begins its sessions with a prayer. Thanks to Ms. Hartman, Council Secretary, I've determined that from computer records of the Brick Council that from at least 1999, 2004, the Brick Council agendas contained a moment of prayer. Mr. Donatello, the township historian, did not know exactly when before 1999 that the Brick Council began the moment of prayer. Before the council meeting on December 30th, I presented to Mr. Starkey copies of what in my opinion, were non-denominational prayers. So, Mr. President, as Ms. Lydecker and Mr. Starkey recommended, I'm here tonight to request that the Township Council take the action necessary to have a prayer at the opening of council meetings. In my letter to Ms. Lydecker in May, I indicated that the prayer could be said by a member of the council, the clergy, or the public. Now, for full disclosure, I'm a parishioner of St. Dominic's Church of Brick, have degrees from Seton Hall University, a Catholic college, and have taught mathematics at 2 Catholic high schools in New Jersey, St. Aloysius in Jersey City and Marist High School in Bayonne. After Superstorm Sandy in October 2012, when many citizens of Brick were severely affected by the storm, I became concerned that public officials seemed very reluctant to invoke the name of God when comforting victims of the storm. Although there were promises made to do everything possible to rebuild the shore, the emphasis on prayer seemed absent. I felt that people needed spiritual healing as well. This is a primary reason why I am making this request tonight. That is, the absence of prayer in public square is deafening to me. Mr. President, if you or any members of the council have any questions about this proposal, I will gladly answer them. Please inform me at some time in the future, or possibly as soon as possible, your decision in this matter. And thank you for the opportunity to address the council tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Sir?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening. Name and address, please.
My name is Jerry DeSico from Windcrest Court.
Thank you.
It's been several months since we've heard about the topic of Maple Leaf Park. It's time for a progress report. This progress report can happen at the next council meeting, could happen at a public safety committee meeting, or a follow-up meeting with the residents of the Herbertsville section, but it must be done. It does appear that a couple of individuals in this town may have taken their eye off the ball regarding Maple Leaf Park. We cannot let that happen, because we saw what happened to the Green Bay Packer game in the last 55 seconds of that game where they blew it. We can't have that here. I remember reading a recent edition of the Brick Times, and it was a pretty good article. They talked about the one-year anniversary of the Ducey administration. I like to say I like the concept of the 100 days where it sets specific goals and it sets a game plan on certain items that you want to accomplish. That kind of worked also in 1994 when the Gingrich Revolution came in with the Contract of America. So I'd like to continue to go forward with that. It was a good concept and it's worked. So my hat goes off in that respect. Also, I believe this article mentioned about this particular year, it's important about devising ordinances that not just target Maple Leaf, but generally talks about these absentee slumlords and hold them accountable for individuals that they bring in doing background checks. So with that said, I'm also very happy to understand with the reorganization meeting that Councilman Moore and Councilman Pontiero was back at the Public Safety Committee. You guys get it, you guys understand it, understand the seriousness of Maple Leaf, so I'm glad to hear that you're back this year. There's 4 items, Mr. Council President, that I hope I could get an answer. Doesn't have to be tonight, as I said. You know, we just come off the bench from a nice holiday season. So, item 1, what specifically has the Public Safety Committee, their status is regarding these particular animal house ordinances? Where are you at that stage? Are they in the development stages? What research has been done, and what could be told about what's going to happen in regards of that? Secondly, I'm also looking to see what the status is about the crime-free multi-housing program. That's very successful in all housing communities across the country. And the police department is not the only component of that. The police department in Brick and all over the country, they deal with enough on their plate with domestic terrorism and the enemies of society on a daily basis. So, and they do a great job here. So having a component of the crime-free multi-housing program is really important. So I'd like to have a status on that. And this is not just me. This is, you know, where we left off last year. Item number 3, we also want to talk about the 2 individuals that soiled this council meeting in September, the owners of the condo association president and the Maple Leaf Management Company. Where have they been brought back? Has anybody heard from these 2 individuals? This duo came over here and they splattered everybody here with a lot of nonsense. And what have they done over in Maple Leaf? My answer is they've done nothing. They may have fixed the cameras there, but the cameras, nobody watches the cameras. So I think it's a good idea to bring these 2 guys back. And the 4th item, and I can do an Oprah request if so desire, Mr. Council President, but I'll leave it up to you. You tell me where I'm going with this. I have a little bit of issue with Mr. Newman. Specifically.
Please don't use a name, just the building
Okay,
department.
the building
please,
department,
no names.
not the whole department.
First off, just let me set you straight now. I'm not going to allow any bashing of
Okay,
anyone
I'm
up
not
here,
bashing, I'm
anyone in
telling
the
you-
town. Just get it straight now, because I'll have you removed. I will not
You're
allow
gonna
that
have me
at
removed under
all.
what grounds?
Under the grounds that someone here is not to defend himself. I'm not going to allow that.
So you tell me where I've
Well, I
I've
don't know where you're
started to
going,
say
but I'm just saying,
something.
just don't use a name, so that, just
Okay, so you're
continue.
threatening me with removal, is that it?
Well, I can, if you,
Under what
but I'm
grounds?
asking
What
you
did I say?
not to do.
Because you're
use
dipping
a
into
name.
my time, by the way.
I'll give you an extra 30 seconds.
Oh,
How's
gee,
that?
that's kind of you.
Thank
I'm glad to see that you're in a hot seat now, because
Yep.
I remember last year you were taking a nap every time these important issues were coming up.
Thank you.
So,
Sir, why don't you sit
here's-
down then? If
Here's
you-
what we gotta do,
Like I said,
sir.
I'm not going to
No,
allow
This is
bashing.
very important.
Get to your point.
The point is very simple. The housing inspection department, and I'm going to put an open request in, because obviously I'm not going to be able to get this from you. The open request is going to be about the inspections that were conducted there last year, summonses that were issued, any type of resulting in court appearances, calls for service, because quite frankly, when we brought some very important issues, they may not be important to you, Council President, but they're important to the community.
They're important to the town, they're important to me.
Regarding the situation over there, and we've got no answers from that department. So I will put in an open request. I'll make it easy for you.
There
How's
you
that?
go. Thank you.
May I address, Mr. President? I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name. Sir, I know you, but I don't know your last name. DeSico. I should know it by heart, right? Okay. In terms of the ordinances, we're still in the research process of not just an animal house ordinance, but several ordinances, including air pollution, noise pollution, and various other ordinances that we've still been looking into to see if whether we can implement them for your town, for our town, to make things better for Maple Leaf. We've also, through the Public Works, I'm also a member of the Public Works Committee. Mr. Fosman is the chairperson of that committee. We're also looking into what we can do about the dumpsters and the smell and getting rid of that. So we're taking a multi-phasic approach to Maple Leaf. You heard tonight us pass the grant program for the Safe and Secure Communities program, which will give us the ability to have some offset for additional officers. We're also in the process of setting down a meeting with Sheriff Mastrodani to see what services we can avail ourselves of for free through the Sheriff's Department to assist us in helping communities like yours and other communities like Maple Leaf in Brick to make things better. So as just a mini update, we're still working. We didn't forget you. Still on it. And as soon as there is a progress made in terms of ordinances, you'll hear them on first reading and second reading, get to make your comments. So I hope that satisfies you in terms of a response.
Council President.
Thank
Council
you.
President. Council
Sir, in the back.
President.
Yeah, oh,
Can I say something?
Sure. Sorry.
In land use, we're looking at two different ordinances for renters. So we are looking into it, and we have to make sure everything's proper before we make an ordinance come through. It's not dropped, that subject's not going away. We're on top of it, and the safety, public safety is also in on that. So, thank you.
Richard Gross, 29 Greenboro Boulevard. Over the years, as far back as I can remember, and maybe even beyond that, when there's a salute to the flag, everybody stands. And anybody that wishes a moment of silence to say their own prayers has a right to do it. And I think that's the way all public meetings should be held. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Sir?
John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court, Brick Township. First of all, let me apologize. Anybody got my email might have had a good laugh. If they saw what it said up on the top, I won't bother saying what it said because I hit send before the spell check worked.
I I particularly enjoyed the President mumble comment.
That's the part I was talking about, which I wasn't going to bring up at the meeting for public.
We got a good laugh.
Okay. Mayor Ducey, Council President Mumolo.
Hey.
And, well, I already called the mayor, Mayor Daley, so, you know, I'm in good stead with you guys.
He's our daily
And-
mayor,
yeah.
yes.
And to all the members of the Brick Council and all the citizens of Brick Township. Once again, I stand before you in hopes that the mayor, the council, agency leaders, and citizens of Brick Township can stop the abuse on the health of the citizenry. It has been almost 2.5 years with the promise of another 2 years that the Brick residents have to put up with the noise, ground shaking, the pollution of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority expansive quest for money. Seems strange to say that it's the new NJTA is doing this for a quest for money, but that's exactly what they were doing. The commissioners and directors are funneling millions of dollars to their friends and backers through the constant expansion of the parkway. They're doing this while New Jersey's population dwindles because of excess taxes, tolls, and other crony capitalistic methods. The cost of almost everything, well, except for gas, increases, and the burden on the citizenry increases year after year. The NJTA is doing this while they are aiding in the pollution problems of the state, while they reap in millions of dollars for themselves, their friends, and associates. From all the studies done, which many have been brought before you at the council, we know that the toxins from the unimpeded diesel truck traffic are harming Brick Township residents as well as the rest of Ocean County and Monmouth County residents. Because of these studies, we know that the toxins of the unimpeded diesel fumes are causing early deaths to our seniors. With these studies, there is proof that the toxins from the unimpeded diesel truck traffic are causing irreversible damage to the lungs of all the Shore community residents. From these studies, we know that the toxins from unimpeded truck traffic cause traffic dangers to the communities surrounding the parkway exits from 1 up to 105, where beyond trucks are not allowed. I believe someday the NJTA commissioners who have shirked their responsibility to the public at large will be held responsible for their actions. I believe that the construction companies' executives that have put greed and profits first and foremost at the expense of the citizens will one day be held liable for their actions. I believe that one day the NJTA directors will be answerable before the public for their mismanagement, which continues to lead to the impaired health and early deaths of our citizens. I also believe that someday one or many of the New Jersey officials, like the governor, will step forward and stop the abuse of the power of the NJTA. Until that day comes, however, I believe the only power we have is in the efforts of normal, everyday citizens, our mayor, and our council, and the continued support of thousands of our residents. I also believe that nothing will get achieved without the constant insistence from our local elected representatives to all those state officials who may at least have some kind of influence over that strong-armed, powerful, uncaring, authoritative New Jersey Turnpike Authority. Until the NJTA is forced to put up walls, additional trees, and brush, each and every one of us, children yet to be born, to those living in our senior communities like we've seen here today, some of the people, will be breathing these toxins in from those diesel killers on the road. The time for action is now. It is time for us to live as this country was formed, a country of the people, by the people, but especially for the people. Thank you. John Sluka, and I said it.
Thank you. Public? Go ahead. Come on back up.
Sam Foster, 108 Teagle Drive. I just spoke with Ms. Colley briefly about the Comcast problem she was having. I'm a former Comcast customer. I switched from Comcast to Verizon. I told this to Nan and tell the public also. With Verizon Fios, it's not Fios, it's not cable, fiber optic from street to your house. They use, once you get to, it's fiber optic from street to your house, then they use the same cabling as Comcast cable does. So you're not getting a true Fios speed unless you have your house wired for Fios within the house Also, some areas do have files. I live in off of Chambersbridge Road, so I do have files available. Problem is, I'm copper from street to house, so I'm not getting a true file speed. And Nan had trouble with this, so I'll tell everybody, in case anybody else has this trouble. I know Comcast has their schedules online, so if you go to the website, and it's difficult to navigate, but it is out there. So just wanted to let people know about that. Did have a comment about the prayer. A little bit worried about this. 'Cause I don't have any problem with prayer before a council meeting, but I know that I think it was last year or the year before that, there was a case in Point Pleasant Beach in which the council and the mayor agreed to open up the meetings before the meetings with prayer. And one citizen only sued or complained, and that they had to stop it. Now, I wanted to know, I understand, Supreme Court, I don't know what the man, he said something about the Supreme Court. I didn't really follow him too much, but maybe, I know that if the lower court, Superior Court is where Point Pleasant was prohibited from having the prayer before the meeting. Mr. Starkey, I guess, could tell us about this, but if the Supreme Court has made rulings since then that would allow prayer before meetings since they have their higher authority. But like I said, I don't have any problem with prayer before meetings, and that's just my opinion. I just wanted to point it out to everybody. And that's about it.
Thank you.
George Scott, 16 Queen Anne. Couple of things. On January 6th, there was a meeting at Ocean County College regarding a community development block grant, mainly for disaster relief, disaster recovery, and what they were going to do as far as amendments going regarding $501,909,000. I was wondering, you represent the public, if in fact anything happened at that meeting, or do we know what we're going to get out of that $501 million is question number one. Number two, several months ago, I attended a council meeting, and I brought up about dilapidated buildings, vacant buildings, deteriorated things. At that time, you were sitting over there. You made a comment to me, well, things are in the works. Wait till January 1st. Great things are going to happen. I would like you to enlighten me. We are past January 1st.
Sure.
Where we are with that. Number three, I always look when we have budget appropriations and we put money aside. One of our biggest payments that we make is for health insurance. What is the council doing to reduce our health insurance premiums? I had spoken to the business administrator, who I'm really thankful has an open door policy. I understand that there was a meeting, who arranged the meeting. It seems that didn't go very well. I think when you involve people like the president of the hospital here looking to come forward and offer some suggestions, there probably should have been more dialogue as to what's going on. With further conversation with the business administrator, she assured me that they would try to set up another meeting and find out. I'm specifically looking to have the taxpayers save money, which I'm sure that's what you're there for. I would like to see that meeting move forward. I would like to see other avenues followed so that we could possibly save a lot of money. I mean, I'm talking about $50,000, $100,000. Our premiums are in the millions, so I think there is some money there to be saved. At the last meeting, and I haven't been in a meeting since November, by the way, Happy New Year to you, and we're off to a new year. At the January 6th meeting, there was the amount of debt. The debt is $14,707,000. Again, not a small number, and you had to appropriate monies there. When I looked over the items, I guess I have a question. $39 million in bonds, whether the bonds are official now or they're still bond anticipation notes. That figure that's on there, I'm wondering if we're recouping that money from the solar farm. I'd like to see where the write-off is back and forth on that. And one of the last things I'm going to ask is, we put things forward, sending things to the state and asking our local senators and whatnot to look out to change things. with what happened because of Sandy, a lot of houses are being rebuilt, and the building department downstairs, if it is Sandy-related, gets to use state inspectors. What's annoying me, and I spoke to the building construction person, if a company is doing a job and they're getting paid for it and they're professional, let's just take like a plumber. You have a plumber come and he doesn't do something. Building inspector comes and says, you know what, this, and this is wrong. You would think he would fix it. Now the guy says he fixes it, calls up, has another inspection. This and this and this is still wrong. Boom, he's got to come back a third time. The third time he comes, oh, you fixed this, but this and this is still wrong. We're paying for this guy. This guy comes out 4 and 5 times. And the way the construction official explained it to me, he can't charge for these additional inspections, which I think is ludicrous. At some point, somebody should put the money up. If you don't do the job right, you shouldn't have somebody coming back for free 5 times. I'm therefore going to ask all of you, if it becomes a matter of you have to go to the state, that's what these guys are on Route 70. They have an office there. Let's move it forward and have them try to change this, because not only here in Brick, it's all over. I mean, if somebody's getting paid, they should know what they're doing. And I shouldn't be paying for the guy to come back 5 times to fix the same thing. I would like you to consider that.
All right. Would you like to address any of that? or business?
Sure, thanks. The January 6th meeting at Ocean County College, the third round of, the amendment to the third round of funding, really unproductive. My comments actually to the state on that third round was that I said that the money should be kept here to help middle-class residents here in affected areas, as opposed to being used for low-income housing in non-affected areas. The towns and cities up north that have problems with their Mount Laurel obligations, that's somebody's own pet project. They should not be using Sandy money for that, because that's where the money's going, part of the money. And then also my comments were that the people who received SBA loans shouldn't be considered duplication of benefits.
Should or should not?
Should not. SBA loan is a loan that has to be paid back. When they say it's duplication of benefits, they say, well, because you didn't use your own money. When you're paying a loan back, you're using your own money. So I don't understand how that's duplication of benefits. I gave an example of somebody who took a loan out from SBA to fix his bulkhead, and did that long ago, right after the storm, because his bulkhead needed to be repaired. Otherwise, his land and his house and everything else is falling into the lagoon. He used that money for the purpose. Bulkhead's repaired. He's paying the loan back. Has not missed a payment or anything, and he's waiting to get his house elevated because he's he's in the flood zone. Obviously, he's on the waiting list forever for a $150,000 RREM grant, and his number gets called. He's all excited. He goes down there, fill out the paperwork, and they say, no, you don't qualify. They ripped it up and said, you're not getting your $150,000 because you took a loan out to fix your bulkhead. So those 2 points were the comments I made for FEMA. The solar field is running well as far as they haven't missed any payments, anything like that. Everything's going as smoothly. They're paying for the debt service. We have the lockbox working. That whole system, as put in place, is working fine. And I know you had a number of other things that I'm not sure.
When was the grant?
Do you like me to?
Please.
I agree with your assessment, as we discussed, that we should proceed with further discussion with Meridian, and we are on schedule to have that meeting again, this time with more information in advance so we can look at the numbers. So I do agree with your comment. And we are also meeting internally to be sure we set up a process for this, particularly the ordinance that the council most recently passed on bank-owned properties. We want to be sure that we are hitting the ground running, implementing this as the spirit intended that the council passed the ordinance. So we're having an internal meeting to make sure that we don't let that fall through the cracks, that we are, as I said, hitting the ground running with implementation. And some of your other questions, I'll follow up specifically.
On the Meridian, just so you know, what happened is, I guess Dean Land had read an article about the mayor's wellness plan, which is really kind of, at this stage, still internal, where we have a walking club here in Town Hall, and we have a wellness coach and things like that paid for by our health insurance broker. When he read about that mayor's wellness plan as part of my 100-day plan, he mistook that for the similar thing that we used to have years ago over at the Civic Plaza, where it was a clinic there that the employees were encouraged to go to. But it kind of didn't even work. I guess this is before I was here, even on council. I guess we were offering employees $100 even to go to the
We were
to the clinic.
actually paying them.
Yeah,
That
yes.
didn't work well at all. We lost a lot of money.
So when he heard Mayor's Wellness Program, he thought that that's what I was looking into, so that's why I spoke with him on the phone about it, and I said, well, Mr. Brazaris, I said I wasn't here. Mr. Brazaris had the experience. He always came into business and finance, said it was a total flop, didn't work. So Dean said, well, you mind if we get together with Mr. Brazaris and maybe we have a new type of model? And that's where that meeting came from. And Joanne and myself attended that meeting, and I guess we're going to go forward from there.
If I may, there were just two other questions you had. Well, to follow up on one with Ms. Bergen addressed, the dilapidated buildings. The ordinance that was adopted by the council requires banks that have properties in foreclosure that are vacant and abandoned to register with the township clerk, and it gives them until sometime right around the end of January to register. So I suspect that's what you were hearing, is that when change is coming, those banks have to register, and with the banks that do follow the ordinance and register, we will have someone to go to, a contact person, so that those properties get addressed directly by the lender who has it in foreclosure. And for those banks lenders who do not register, we're putting together a process to track down who that is, and they can be also held accountable and fined for simply the failure to register, and then of course the failure to maintain the properties. The part about the inspections by the building department, the lack of ability to charge, I'm fairly confident those rates are set by the state and the Uniform Construction Code, and I'll say I think you're right. I think this problem needs to be addressed, but unfortunately that's not a problem that this council can address. Has to go, as you said, over to Route 70 to the legislative offices over there.
But what I think is if the council got together as a group and instead of having a citizen say, hey, by the way, we need to do this, it comes from the township itself. And yes, when I did ask downstairs, you can't charge. I mean, it's against the law to charge, but don't you think it's a little ludicrous that guy comes back 5 times to look at the same thing? It's.
How many times does that occur?
Maybe-
Things like that. So when we go to the legislators, we have an idea of this.
So to follow up with the banks, have the banks been notified that we have this ordinance in effect now? I mean, what have we done? I mean, do they know, or can they just say, hey, by the way, we didn't know this, you just passed this?
It's not our obligation to notify them. Frank, we don't always know which properties are currently in foreclosure and vacant and abandoned. We can determine sometimes the vacant and abandoned part, but foreclosure we don't always know. It is an affirmative obligation imposed on the banks to come here and to register with us.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I did send about 45 letters out to banks and property management companies that we did know were managing foreclosed
Okay.
properties.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Oh, wait, Nan, I'm sorry. The woman in the back. Yeah, please. You were up already, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to thank the mayor for his part in our CBS debut on the local news on January 2nd. Thank you very much for your part. Thank you. We're going to be going in front of the Turnpike Authority once again next Tuesday, and we're going to try again. We actually have a scientist that's going to come and help us. He's actually has some information that perhaps the DEP didn't have the authority to do everything that they did and destroy everything, but I'll let you know how that goes. There's something that the Turnpike Authority never mentions or never rebuts, and that is the Public Law 2003, Chapter 79, where they took over the Highway Authority and to become the Turnpike Authority. And there's a part in there where they're exempt from taxation because they provide for not just commerce, but for the health and well-being of the citizens of New Jersey, and they never remark upon this, and I think that we should maybe somehow use this. I have kind of like this, I'm kind of formulating how we can do this, and there's also something called the public trust doctrine, where they are the trustees, and this has been used in court by a lawyer in Oregon, and I'll send you that information also. I'm just trying to come up with new ideas and plan of action for this. And also that because there is a big hole in the road now, there's a big ditch, that we are a type 1 project. The topography has been altered, and the barrier has been removed, bringing the receptor closer to us. I will send you that information also. I would think that after we were on radio twice, we were in the Star Ledger, we've been online, and television twice, that something else would happen. And this is, I never thought that this would take this long, and it's still going on. I was wondering if there was any status, anything new going on with negotiations with the state or the Turnpike Authority, anything happening that you should tell folks about, or?
The last meeting, you asked us to help you follow up on an OPA request, which we successfully were able to do and get you that. That was the last request that you made of us.
Okay.
And we also are in process of receiving the landscape plans. Turnpike Authority is currently revising them. The mayor made a formal request to the DOT and to the NJTPA for copies of those, so that we could share those with folks at Evergreen Woods to see how they intend to restore the site after the project. Mayor received a call back that the plans were under design, they were making some modifications to them, and that we would absolutely have copies to share with the residents. So we're doing what we can to get you information and to assist.
Which news, because the original, I saw the original plans, and now they're saying they're modifying them, hoping that, you know, a lot of our lobbying and you're going to the meetings and everything is helping in that, and that's why they're modifying it to make it more substantial than it was.
Okay, and also, they have right-of-way cement barriers, and that's kind of put the noise a little bit away from us, and I'm wondering if they can just do something to keep them at road level somewhere there to help. I mean, in the meantime, because, I mean, supposedly this project was supposed to be done in 2005, but they always reserve the right to extend it. I don't know if they gave you a time frame for the end of the project.
No, but I think that's a great question for you to ask next week.
Yeah, I will. So let me see, was there anything else? I guess that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Nan Call, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard again. And first of all, yes, Sam Foster was kind enough to come over and show me on his telephone, I guess it was. Yesterday, out of desperation, I found that it was online. It's exceedingly difficult to navigate. Number one, I am a techno geek or a techno nerd, whichever you want to say. And I use my computer a lot. I can't be logging off. I keep my televisions on and use the computer at the same time. It's not workable. If I'm not feeling well, or if I've retired but not gone to sleep, I can't get up and go to the computer and check everything. It's incumbent upon them when they're charging so much money, and they charge money for the adapter and they charge money for the set-top, and the only reason I have one set-top is because I want that guide and the benefit of it. I did find out yesterday that apparently there is a way to get some information with the adapter, but since it doesn't work since they're not using a guide, I couldn't check it out. As far as the prayer, I also had mentioned, and Mr. Starkey will tell you, that I sent, in fact, I think I sent it to Council President Leidecker at the time, and I do not believe that one person should put, the only word comes to mind is the kibosh on having the meetings start with prayer. I find that we are in very, very serious times right now. We need prayer. I also happen to have read a book about being Jewish because my 2 grandchildren would be considered Jewish since their mother is. And I happened upon the book by accident and found out from that in particular that the word Lord is a word that we inherited from the Judaic religion. And that's what this country is. Judaic Christian. Everything in the Christian religion practically is a carryover from the Jewish religion. And the only thing is, we believe the Messiah has come. So, and I don't think you would consider Congress. Mr. O'Rourke mentioned, I think, the House, the Senate also. And that's what I referenced, was that I watch a lot of C-SPAN. I was watching one of the sessions of either the Senate or the House, and went and made a phone call to find out how could I get the text of what the chaplain said, because the prayer was so important, and there is nobody, I think, that can do without calling on a higher power. The atheist, let them do whatever they want, because they don't have a higher power, they don't have to worry. But the rest of us, we believe in a higher power, whatever name we may call them, and whether we go to services constantly or not. Most of us believe in that higher power and seek guidance and help. So I think that's all that I wanted to respond, except I fully
Thank you.
support Ms. Spector. I think that's her name.
I'll discuss this with the council and have an answer for you by the next meeting.
Well, I did give Mr. Starkey the one prayer that I did get when I had seen it, because it impressed me so much. I think it was Father Patrick Conroy, but it doesn't matter who says the prayer. Bring in a rabbi, bring in a priest, or have somebody here who's willing to say a general prayer, just to guide us.
Thank you. Sir?
James Cancel, Maple Leaf Park. I appreciate the opportunity to come before this committee in the hope of being heard and to inspire the elected officials in a manner that will both protect and enhance community values and protect established individual rights. That seems to be the problem in this country. We have a choice between individual rights or community values. It's not working together, combining both of them. Jane Jacobs, in her book, The Life and Death of Great American Cities, I urge anybody who's in planning, on council, whatever, The Life and Death of Great American Cities, describes the Township Committee as a fulcrum point where citizens can apply their pressures and make their wills and their knowledge known, and respected. And respected. This is how we actually come to know and have an effective district identity. So, you can sit there. I didn't see a lot of respect with Jerry today, but going on from there, we sit here and you take in these ideas and you sit there. I don't know where you live or what you do, but you're not going to solve Maple Leaf Park by yourselves. And the police aren't going to solve it. You're going to need to pull in the people of Maple Leaf Park and the people of Windcrest Manor and those areas. You have to pull them all in. It has to be a community policing thing. No doubt about it. Because it hasn't worked now. It hasn't worked for a long time. And there's a mandate in this town to fix it. There's no other community people are complaining about. Is there no other community people are talking about slums? They may have some problems with the Turnpike Authority. But there's just no other community that is like Maple Leaf, that you have citizens come from all over and say, please help. I live over here and I was robbed. I live over here. Or a whole community where Jerry lives, they come in, 20, 30 people come to a meeting concerning Maple Leaf Park. Come on. Citizens, I just said that. All right. It's a mandated action that's called for. In this book, Jane Jacobs, she describes an incipient slum. An incipient slum. Chapter 15, as follows: the first sign of an incipient slum long before visible blight can be seen, is stagnation and dullness. Dull neighbors are inevitably deserted by their more energetic, ambitious, and affluent citizens, and also by the young people who can get away. I can tell you that's happening. It's happening for a while in Maple Leaf Park. Is it happening anywhere else? Probably not like in Maple Leaf. They inevitably fail to draw newcomers, absolutely, by choice, with these selective desertions and selective lack of vigorous new blood. Such neighborhoods are apt to undergo rather sudden, wholesale desertions by their non-slum population. That's happening, it's happened, and will continue to happen. She states that the key link that has to be broken, prevent this slum situation, is too many people move out of it too fast. In the meantime, dream of getting out. I can tell you, I dream of getting out. What's scary to me is maybe Jerry and his community dream of getting out. That's scary to me, and that should be scary to this council. Major efforts in fighting neighborhoods declining into slums called slum shifting fails because it tries to overcome causes of trouble by diddling with symptoms. Diddling with symptoms. Oh, we have a drug problem. Brick is terrible. Or Ocean County, so let's give out Narcan. Let's give out Narcan to everybody. Diddling with symptoms. Code enforcement. Half measures with code enforcement. Diddling with symptoms. Can it be argued that over the years, Maple Leaf Park has displayed the pathologies and symptoms of slum troubles? Maple Leaf Park has been trending toward perpetual slum status for a long time. A perpetual slum, it says, is always going backwards instead of forward, a circumstance that reinforces most of its other troubles. Is Brick going back or is it Brick going forward? And I'm going to give you some statistics on crime for Brick. You tell me if it's going backward or forward. In drastic cases, possibly what occurs is a jungle, not a community. This happens when new people flooding in have little in common to begin with those that are there, and those who are most ruthless and bitter begin to set what tone there is. What tone is set there? Ask the chief. He'll tell you. We know there's over, I don't even want to name the amount of drug investigations going on in that small area, but we know it. You can't count them on both hands. Look, here's this 2015 safest cities in New Jersey. Value Penguin took a comprehensive look at crime statistics at over 350 cities and towns in New Jersey to determine which ones are the safest and least safe relatively to each other. You can have this one if you want it. Brick, out of 353, came in 228. You know where Neptune came? Neptune came in 339. These are bordering towns, towns that border Brick, where a lot of our trouble is coming from. Asbury, 350. Asbury got slammed, a town of 19,000. You know where Lakewood came in? Lakewood's trending better, upward, 189. A town of 92,000 people. Is that because of how they've gotten rid of all tried to get rid of, what's the term they use? Gentrification? Is it because of that? I don't know, but I think so.
Mr. Kitzel, you could wrap it up.
I'm wrapping it up.
Thank you.
Yes, I am. Brick, 75,311. It's pretty big, actually, relative to a lot of them. 228, 353. If you're happy with that, that's fine. I don't think you should be. I don't think you should be happy with it all. And I got to wonder if you were really, really going after it, like the Bible says about Jesus. He loved righteousness and hated iniquity, and he had an anointing because of it, above all his fellows. This world doesn't have that. This country doesn't have that. And that's a shame. And I don't think anything's really going to ever get done unless people have that.
Thank you.
Mr. President, can I have the floor? Mr. Cancel, understand that the statistics that you're quoting about the highest crime rates are based on the number of arrests, meaning that
No, they're
Brick, yes, they are.
They're not in this study.
I'll ask the
They're
chief
based
of
on
police
violent
to come
crime
up and
and
address
property
the
crime.
issue, if Chief
Chief, would you like to
Berquist,
explain? Thank you.
because it's very misleading to quote that statistic without understanding, because that's how I understood it at first until I spoke to Chief Berquist. Can you please address?
I'll get out.
You don't have to get out.
No,
You just stand
stay
right there.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was a little disappointed when Brick Patch ran that article originally. I did a lot of research and I had a lot of communication with the editor of Brick Patch at the time, excuse me, Karen Wall. The Value Penguin, I think, is the company that did the research.
Mm-hmm.
They took crime rates without fully explaining what crime rates are. They manipulated the data by some assumptions that they came up with. And it really skewed the whole picture. Matter of fact, and if Mr. Cancel had continued his conversation with my follow-up with the brick patch, he would have had a better understanding of what those numbers represented. The original report had Mantoloking being the most dangerous place in Ocean County. We know that that's not true. So those numbers, I don't know what they represent. If you can go on to the FBI.gov and you can look at our crime statistics, our numbers are good. All of our categories were down. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd also ask a member of our Public Safety Committee, Councilwoman Zapsig, to please explain the mentoring program that we're facilitating in Maple Leaf Park.
Thank you, Councilwoman Pontrero. I was actually saving it for council comments, but I'm happy to talk about it now. I've been very hands-on working with our grants writer, Tara Paxton, in preparing the BMAC application that we have the resolution on the agenda for tonight. There's a number of initiatives that'll be funded through that, but one of the programs that we are seeking funds for is for a youth mentoring program that will take place directly in Maple Leaf Park. Our Police Athletic League has stepped forward and agreed to staff that for us. They are already running a very successful mentoring program with youth in other parts of the town where the youth come to them. This way, we're going to bring this initiative directly into Maple Leaf Park. It will take place in the clubhouse one night a week from September through June. And the children will participate in community service projects throughout the town, but there will be 4 community service projects a year dedicated solely to Maple Leaf Park, things taking place within Maple Leaf Park. Those things might be beautification things, but they will also involve scans of the environment, possibly replacing light bulbs, cleaning up alleys, getting rid of dark corners. Referring to your broken windows theory, Mr. Cancel, it's something that I've actually looked into myself, and there's definitely some merit there. I think that also relates to the, in small part, to the reduction in crime that they experience in the New York City subway just by painting, cleaning, and providing new uniforms for the officers. So I'm with you 100%. And that's all going to be funded through, if we're successful in the grant application, they'll be funded through the grant and with no taxpayer dollars involved at all. If I can have the floor for just one or two more minutes. Councilwoman Lydecker very graciously offered to relinquish her seat on the Land Use Committee so that I could step on it. So now there's a connection between the Land Use Committee, the Public Safety Committee, and the Municipal Alliance. So we'll be addressing this problem from a prevention standpoint, from an enforcement standpoint, and from a land use standpoint. We are moving on it. We haven't forgotten you, I can tell you. And I'm not blowing any smoke here. I spent my whole Christmas vacation. I took 2 weeks off from my job, and I worked solely in Brick Township. And a lot of that had to do with looking at issues, how we can make things better in Maple Leaf. Spent time with the police chief, spent time with some members of the community, looking at some things for neighborhood revitalization. There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline, and that's where we're at.
If I could have the floor back just for a second.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank Councilwoman Zapsig for all of her efforts, and I want everyone in Maple Leaf to understand this is a multi-phasic process designed to get to the root of the problem rather than just putting a Band-Aid on the problem. So understand that even though it may seem slow to the people that are in the community waiting for help, it's being investigated by every means possible. That's how we can fix the problem. So again, as Councilwoman Zapsig said, you're not forgotten. We're working on your issues. We're working on it from a bunch of different angles so that we can find a solution that's going to make it better long-term instead of just a Band-Aid. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sir.
Oh, Mr. Finelli.
Vic Finelli, 24 Meadow Point Drive. Couple questions regard to the work the Parkway is doing. they're supposed to notify anybody that could have any underground cabling or anything when they're gonna do any digging, that they're gonna be doing that digging and give you enough time to move the stuff. Do they do that?
They have to notify the
That-
utility companies, they don't have to notify the township.
It's required that they call,
It's a call number.
a call for a dig, and they mark out, they do a mark out on the utilities.
Okay. Who doesn't mark out?
Utilities.
Okay, I'm talking like your fiber optics cable.
That's
Utilities.
still utilities. There's utilities would do that. They have a separate service that comes out and marks out cable TV, things of that nature, gas line. Then Public Works comes out and does sewer, water, that type of thing.
Okay.
When you call for a mark out,
So they do a mark out, and when they do a mark out, do we respond to it and move the cables and everything, or who does
no,
that?
the contractor knows where the cable is. And he has a machine, he's not to dig within 2 feet on either side of that. They have to hand dig in that area.
When you say the contractor.
Can I just, Mr. President, may I just clear this
Councilman,
up?
go ahead.
Since I do that every day, and may I just step in?
Sure. Okay.
What happens is if you're have put new cables in, or you need a new gas line to your home, you'll call, there's a special number that you call. They have a special team that comes out.
811.
It does water, does sewer, does cable, electric, nothing that you have to do, nothing the township's responsible of. They come out, once all your flags are out, or you got your different color rainbow paints all over your yard, if it's a contractor, if it's an emergency, it can be done that day. Usually it could take 72 hours by the time everything gets done. Your contractor comes out, he starts digging, that's whoever problem you might have, that's the contractor that's responsible for that dig, and that's how it falls in play.
I know how that works at a house. I'm talking about the Parkway, like putting up a new bridge abutment or something up on Burnt Tavern Road, as an example. And they're going to be digging somewhere in land that doesn't
Same
belong
thing,
to
that's
anyone.
all your state officials, your engineers, they're the ones that are doing your mark out for your bridge, your railings, your posts,
And
whatever
then
it might
they
be. But
notify
that's,
who to move it. 'Cause I'll tell you
well,
what-
usually they should send a memo out, but if it's dealing with the buses or Academy buses or something like that, usually they'll send out a memo to, listen, we're gonna be demoing this side of the roadway. As of this date, there should be a sign out there letting everybody be notified that they're gonna be using or utilizing that area, no parking, or they might even send our police department out there to get that area
I'm
cleared.
not sure you're getting my point, so I'll
Mr.
get right
Finelli,
to, I'll get right to the point,
Mr.
all
Finelli,
right?
the contractors are obligated to notify the utility companies. The utility companies send out crews to do the appropriate markups and whatever infrastructure changes might be required. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, are you aware that 2 weeks ago, part of your fiber optics cable was dug up by the people doing the bridge abutment on the Parkway?
I'd be happy to facilitate a request or complaint to Turnpike Authority, who's supervising the contractor for that project, but no, I was not aware of that.
All right.
That's a fine then to the contractor when they hit something like
Okay,
that. They have to
part of
repair
your
that.
fiber optics cable was taken out 2 weeks ago, and it took down the reservoir, and I think it took down a couple of the schools. Are you aware of that, Doctor? Yes, okay? So they were taken out, and the reason it was taken out was because when they're gonna put that bridge abutment in, the guy with the big drill or the big backhoe, he's gonna dig that hole within 2 centimeters of where it's supposed to be, and he doesn't care if it's down there,
He
right?
probably does now.
No, he doesn't. Absolutely, I tell you right now, he does not. All right, because
If he's still working.
His thing is,
Been there.
you were notified to move the cable.
No,
and
not
if it's
move
not-
it, it's marked out.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
get
a
moved.
mark
No,
out.
nothing gets
No,
moved.
that's
Nothing
not
gets
the way it
moved.
works.
The only people that can move utility lines are contractors
Utility.
hired by the utility company.
Okay, again, you keep saying that word utility company. I'm talking about your fiber optics cable, which I think the MUA is the primary on that cable, and the township and the school district are secondary onto that cable, all right?
Yes.
But what I'm telling you was,
Is it like
whatever's supposed to
Verizon?
work didn't work, and your cable was cut up, and 2 of the schools went down, and the reservoir went down, and you could be put down the same way. And of course, now somebody has to pay for the repairs of that, and on top of that, you have to pay to move it. So if it's supposed to work that way, it's not working. I'll just let you know.
No, thank you, I appreciate you letting us know. We'll absolutely facilitate a dialogue with the TPA. I wasn't aware, the mayor just told me that he wasn't aware, but we're
Well,
happy to, thank you for letting us know.
The superintendent was aware that 2 of his schools went down, so I'm not making up. Secondly, just a little housekeeping, and I know you're gonna do a great job, and I know you're
Thank
new with this, okay? I would like to see, when we have guests here, like Dr. Yuzinski, that somebody tells everybody who they are. Like, I'm sure some people don't know that Dr. Uzinski is the superintendent of schools.
I did bring him up.
I know you brought him up, but you didn't tell anybody who he was, all
Okay.
right?
I'll
And
remember
people-
next
I mean,
time.
I didn't know who he was either. Would you believe that? No, don't believe that.
I don't believe it.
Not
All right?
at all.
But-
I don't believe that.
But you
Not you wearing a hat like that,
You
sorry.
know that I do the same
As
thing
the
at
Board of
school.
Education liaison, I know you know very well who Dr. Yu is.
That's right. And you also know that when some of you here are at the school board meetings and nobody introduces you, I get up and do it at the end of the meeting because I just think it's a common courtesy.
I've never had
Do
it
that.
not done, just to the
Thank
state.
you.
And other than that, things were going pretty good, man. And I've been praying for the snow god like crazy.
Stop praying.
For snow or not the snow? Oh.
Thank you, thank you. Some of us have kids and
Anyone
want
else
them to
from
go
the
to school.
Sir, we'll come back up.
First of all, I appreciate your efforts. I know you're sincere, I can tell it. I know it. I know that most of you are very sincere, if not all of you. I don't doubt that for 1 minute. I look at these stats for Brick, and I did the research. The Lieutenant Dugard gave me the information for 2011 and 2012, how many police calls, police fire, and incident calls came to Maple Leaf. And there was 118 violent crimes per 100,000 on this stat. 1,570 private property crimes. In 2011, there was over 835 calls to Maple Leaf alone. 2012, over 935. Brick is so fixable. If you will just, I know you are. I hear what you're saying.
We are.
But what I ask now is this gets out to the people. That somehow you put in Brick Times what you're doing. You put it. I was told that there was an officer assigned solely for Brick.
We are putting information out. We don't put it out prematurely because it could be misconstrued the wrong way, and then we get feedback that it needs to be.
My bad. I'm glad to be wrong. I love to be wrong. Wrong is good.
No,
for
but
me.
I'm saying that's why, and it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a problem that's been going on for a while. We're actively, everybody on here is, I'm on land use, they're on public safety. We're now all working together. That's the whole reason why council people change around, so we could bring it to the next person and see what we could use
What I'm
and how we
saying
could
is,
utilize it better.
I was told that there's an officer, Jerry was told, that there was an officer assigned to Brick alone. Remember, you had 26 emails when something got out, I believe. 26 people emailed you. Can you imagine if people knew, here's a certain officer, if you have any suspicions, anything you want to talk about, you can call him. How many emails would he get about from Maple Leaf Park? He might get a lot. You might get a lot of information. This is what broken windows is about. This is a very big component of broken windows. That's what I'm trying to say here, that get this to the people, what you plan to do when you're ready. Put it in the Brick Times, because it not only inspires the people, it puts fear in the people that want to do bad. And that needs to happen too, and it energizes the people.
All the media is here. They're in the audience, so they do get.
Right in
they
back
do
of
get-
you.
Right behind you.
Right.
So they do take it and put it in, and you usually publicize what we're doing.
So this is what what I'm after, and Rudy Giuliani took murders from 3,000.
It's a
Down
city.
to-
We're not
down
a
to-
city. We're not New York City.
But the
Understandable.
principles are applicable, sir. Yeah, I know
Right,
you're not New
okay,
York
but
City.
I'm saying it's hard to compare. You're not comparing apples to apples.
Mr. President, if I could have the floor.
Yeah.
Just to briefly, we're on the same side.
I know.
We're
Yeah.
on the same team, okay? The goal is to make Maple Leaf and other communities like it livable, habitable, and enjoyable so that people can live like normal people live. But it's going to be a slow process. As I told you from day one, I didn't lie to you. I didn't tell you that it's going to be fixed immediately.
Why does it have to be slow?
Because there are many different aspects of what we need to look at. Not only ordinances, but also things like Councilwoman Zapsik has done in terms of a mentoring program. We need to go from, if you recall the meeting that we had when we had the chief of police from, I believe it was
Glassboro.
Glassboro, We have to eliminate the problem from the root in order to stop the plant from growing. And that's focusing, if I could just finish, Ms. Zabsig is focusing on a mentoring program which is going to aim at the children. That's some of the main complaints I had, that the children were lookouts, so that the children were tipping off the police. We do have an anonymous tip line as well, through the computer. So we're all on the same team. The goal of all of the council in different committees from different perspectives is to attack this problem that's been going on for years and years and years in a way to eliminate it in future years, not to put the Band-Aid on it. So when you get up here and you say your piece, and I respect what you say, and I respect the people from Maple Leaf, you're not wrong. We're on the same team.
Right. We're just talking about the plays.
We're
on
just
the same
talking about
team.
the
We're
what?
talking about how to execute the plays here.
Not talking about how to execute the plays because it's a multi-phasic
You're gonna work through the
approach.
children.
We're gonna work with the children, we're gonna work with the police, we're gonna work with the sheriff's department. There's meetings that are set up that are, I can't disclose to you yet, that are gonna hopefully give us some free help through the sheriff's department. There's different aspects that we have to attack this from because the problem is so insidious and so deep-rooted that we can't just get rid of it by cutting off the top of the plant. We gotta dig out the roots. This isn't gonna be a day or a week or a month or 3 months. It's not. It's been going on a long time. You're not wrong. We're on the same team. If there's anything else we can do different, you let us know.
How about calling a meeting with Jerry's group and our group and publish it in the paper saying, you know, anybody who
Because
wishes to-
there's not an advantage to letting people know, especially criminals, what we're going to be doing before it's done. Chief Berkowitz taught me that. He did.
All right.
So, please, and I know I say this to you, and I've said it to you before, to be patient, but this problem is so deep, it's not gonna be cleared up. I'd be lying to you. You don't want me to lie to you. You want me to tell you the truth. So we're attacking it from so many angles that hopefully it will get rid of the problem, not just for Maple Leaf, but there's other areas of Brick that have the same or similar problems. So we're trying to help everybody at once from a different dynamic approach that's never been attempted by a council. So it's very, very, it's tedious and it's slow, but hopefully it works.
Is money an issue? As far as what I'm asking, I read that in the appointment thing you negotiated, which was a really good rate, $165 an hour on the Starkey firm. In fashioning these things, is money involved in this? In other words, does a man research?
Where are you going with the,
Where I'm going with this is you're trying to do something that's gonna require research, are you not? When you look into a nuisance abatement?
The research is part of it, but that's not all of it.
So-
You've got to attack the different angles of it all at the same time, or you're not going to make any progress.
So money isn't the issue?
Money is always part of the issue, because
We have to watch
I know that
taxpayers'
Chief
money.
Berkowitz would love to have 15 more members on his force. I'd love to have them, but we can't afford that when we still have people that are still living in tents or in shelters. They can't afford to get into their house. So money is always an issue, but where there's a will, there's a way. Just like Ms. Sapsig did in finding this mentoring program, that's not going to cost us a dime. Just like the Safe Communities program that you saw that we're applying for this grant that's gonna give us an additional $60,000. Where there's a will, there's a way. There just hasn't been a will in so many years that it's not gonna be accomplished in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. That's the best answer I could give you, Mr. Cancel, without lying to you.
I just didn't think it cost anything to go knock on the door and see if you had a CO on.
I've knocked on doors in your community, Mr. Cancel. I've knocked on doors, and what I've seen is horrific. I want the problem solved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. Any more from the public? Sir? Larry Reed, 475 Normandy Drive. I said I wasn't going to get up here and make a comment, but I have an idea for you. First of all, I want to say, personally, I'm in favor of the prayer before the meetings, just so you have another opinion. The second thing is, it relates to one of the problems you have in town here, where a lot of people have to raise their houses. About a year ago, you had the new tax assessor come in and talk to the council, and they pointed out that there were 8,000 houses that were affected by Sandy. So if you were affected by Sandy, it wasn't a wind damage, it was a water damage. So essentially, that means like 8,000 houses have to be raised. I don't know the exact number, but if you were... I don't remember the exact number. I don't know if it was
Only
that
if they're in
high.
a certain zone do they have to be raised.
Well, if you got wet from Sandy, that's a flood issue.
The
So if
only homes, excuse me, Mr. Reed, the only homes that are required to be elevated, and I think it's important to use the word elevated as opposed to raised, because raised
Yes,
has two
you're right
meanings.
about that, two meanings.
Are those that, for the most part, were considered substantially damaged. And there's another mechanism to have that criteria lifted so that you don't have to elevate your house. So the first line, number of homes that have to be addressed are those that are considered substantially damaged. That's direct impact from the storm. And then the flood zone maps, as Council Vice President DeYoung mentioned, will also require different elevations for certain properties.
Okay. So a substantial number of houses in town have to be raised, lifted, I should say. And a lot of those people are getting their REM grants, and what they're running into is they need to move out of their house while it's lifted. And that means they have to go someplace for about 3 months while they lift it up, take the utilities out, put them back in. And the problem is there aren't enough rentals in the area for people to move into for 3 months. Landlords don't want to rent for 3 months. So this is a major issue that our people in town are dealing with. I hear it every day. So when you look at a property like you had in item 12F, which is now an exempt property, meaning you won't collect any taxes on that property, there's an opportunity for the town to take that property off the hands of the Police and Firemen's Fund, because they really don't want to be a landlord, and maybe provide that as a rental property for people that may need to rent. We'd have to purchase it. Whatever, it's off the tax rolls right now. I don't think All the right, town just- is in a position of being a Okay, landlord. so though. here's, it's just an idea. Yep. I don't know all the details. But where there's a will, there's a way. That property was on the tax rolls for $289,000. That was the assessed value. Okay, it sold for $131,000. So obviously, it probably wasn't in very good condition. So somehow, you have a lot of those types of properties in town. There are vacant houses, a lot. There are a lot of properties that are owned by the town. $7.2 million, according to the last audit, are owned by the town. So there's a lot of property that the town owns or has some kind of influence over that could be temporary rentals for all the people in town that have to raise their houses. It's an idea. I don't have all the answers, but it's an idea I think you should pursue. Thank you.
Look into it, thank you. I know Waterside Gardens does a 3-month rental for Sandy victims. And then it goes to minimum 3 months, and then it's month to month afterwards for people that are in the situation where they have to move out. Thank you. Any more comments from the public? Seeing that, I'm going to close public and move on to administration and council.
I have nothing to add, but thank you.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you. I spoke earlier about the FEMA comments from third round funding about individuals, but also just to let everybody be aware that the state's holding back funds from the towns themselves as well. FEMA, the federal government, has obligated a bunch of money to us, but we've only received a very, very small portion. I mean, probably, I don't even know if it's 10% of what we've billed. I don't even think it's that much. So there's a whole bunch of money that's obligated. FEMA says we're going to pay you it, but the state's holding it back because they don't have enough people to review invoices and all. So I just want to let everybody know that that's something that's going on that's going to impact the town. I do have my first mayor's in night of 2015. It's next Tuesday, January 27th at 6 o'clock. It's right across the hall in the meeting room. Every department head's going to be available. So this is for if you can't make it to town hall for whatever purpose during work hours, please come Tuesday, January 27th at 6 o'clock p.m. The radio show. I have a radio show. It's going to be tomorrow, 10 a.m. Please post any questions you'd like on Facebook, and I get to as many as I can. You can also call in and ask a question live, and I'll be able to speak with you. Been going to DARE graduations all over town. So far, Emma Havens, Vets, and Osborneville have had their DARE graduations. DARE is a drug education, also tobacco, alcohol, and just making good choices in general. That's taught by our police department, by Officer Tara and Officer John, to all the fifth graders in town. I wasn't able to make it to Vets, but I had Council President Mumolo filled in for me that day. And coming up, there's going to be the next couple, Lanes Mill. Next Wednesday night, I know Councilwoman Andrea Zapsik is filling in for me at, which one is that? Lanes Mill, okay. And there's a few more coming up, but it's an excellent program. It gives education to our kids at that age, because that's where you want to get to them early, get to them in fifth grade as they're making decisions as they get older. It's very important. I was going back to that FEMA issue. We have $13.5 million outstanding, and that's been obligated, but we've received less than $1 million of that $13.5 million. So the rest of it is going to have to be part of the town, part of the budget until we get that money, because they don't let you carry it over year to year. You have to pay a portion of that back per year, because we had to spend the money. We bonded it. We have to get back that money. And they're not paying us, but we still have to pay our creditors. The one thing we were successful with Commissioner Jamie Foxx, the DOT commissioner, we are going to get a new pedestrian crossing at the corner of Route 70 and Chambers Bridge. I don't know if a lot of people drive through that intersection. You have 4 lanes of traffic going each direction on Route 70. And you have a lot of people who are on one side of the street who want to get over to the ShopRite, a lot of people on this side of Route 70 who want to get over to the A&P shopping center. So you have consistent pedestrian traffic, and there's no crosswalks, there's no do not walk sign, so those are that's a safety issue. I don't know how many times I'm coming here to Town Hall from my house, and I see people trapped on the median between the east and westbound sides of Route 70. So we got the notice earlier this week that when we went out to Trenton, Joanne and myself, to lobby on a number of things, this is one of the things that they did say they will do for us here at Brick. So that's an important safety issue. And then lastly, JSAS Healthcare. It's the lead agency. They're providing a training regarding addiction, education, naloxone kit distribution, treatment options, recovery and family support resources, and free treatment vouchers for medication-assisted treatment. Training is free of charge and open to anyone who is at risk or for their friends and family of an opioid overdose. And it's taking place Thursday, January 29th at 6 o'clock at the VFW on Adamston Road. The event is co-sponsored by the Brick Police and the VFW. It's limited to 75 participants. For more information, visit www.jsashc.org. So please tell everybody about this great resource which is happening right here in our town. It's an unfortunate need, but it is a need, so it's something that's finally being provided to our community. And thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Mayor. Counselor?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I did want to announce that this coming Sunday, January 25th, we are having our annual rabies clinic at the Drum Point Sports Complex from 10 until 12. And I did also want to announce that on Tuesday for the Mayor's Night In, my office will also be open until 8 o'clock for business besides
So all
questions.
the important people will be there.
Yes,
Thank you.
of course.
Hey,
Thank you.
Lynette,
Yes.
do the animals have to be licensed in order to get the rabies shot?
No, they don't have to be licensed prior.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
They should be licensed during the month of January.
Yes, please
So
license your
being
animals.
open late
Please
on the 27th will be helpful.
Council Secretary? Councilman Moore?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to reach out to everybody that came out this evening. Thank you for coming out, taking time out in your schedules to come out. To our students, Once again, great job. It's a very nice gesture that Council President Susan came up with, so I think we should keep doing that, and I think it's a great thing for the kids. It's nice to see our school superintendent in our audience tonight, who also helped out giving out those awards. So it's nice to see him, and thank you for coming out, and Happy New Year. On a sad note, I'm sitting here just holding back some tears. One of our firefighters, actually two of our firefighters in town, firefighter Bobby Contreras, he's also on the fire department with me. He's also a supervisor with the EMS. Recently lost his wife. So my prayers go out to him and his family. And also fellow firefighter Kenny Johnson, who dedicated 50 years of service to the community here in Brick. He passed away. So my blessings go out to him and his family. Once again, thank you for coming out. Please drive safe. I know we have some climate weather ahead of us, so be careful driving. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you. At the last two council meetings, I mentioned a program that the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office was running at the Pine Belt Arena last week called Playing It Clean. Featured some speakers, some notable professional athletes. I attended the program. Chief Bergquist was there. There were some educators from Brick Township. A lot of schools throughout Ocean County sent their students. It was a very impressive turnout, and it was a great program. I did have the opportunity to speak with Ocean County Prosecutor Joe Coronado before the program, and he mentioned that he would be very willing and receptive to doing something very similar for us here in Brick Township. So that's yet again another measure that we'll be employing to work on this problem. It's not what any of us would think of as business in the classic sense, but the people that are dealing drugs in our community are business people. And so we need to approach it from a multifaceted, take a multifaceted approach, as Councilwoman Poncherero said. We have to look at it from an enforcement issue. We have to look at it from a land use issue. There are other properties within the town that are being used for these same purposes that are not located in Maple Leaf. And we also have to stop stop the buyers, basically, stop the need by educating our children, educating our parents, educating our seniors, and a lot of those things are also going to be in the BMAC grant. And just to clarify, that grant application is due on February 2nd, but the funding, if we're successful, will not start until July 1st, of this year. So, and again, sometimes it seems like nothing is going on, but things do take time to bring to fruition. So it's still on our radar. We're still working on it from a variety of angles. I want to thank everybody that came out and spoke about it tonight, for keeping it in the public eye, and everybody be safe in whatever kind of weather is coming our way, and we'll see you in the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman? Lightheart?
Yes, still not used to being third in line. Thank you for having the Student of the Month program on. I really didn't have to twist your arm to keep it there, but it's so nice to recognize the students that work so hard, not only all month long, but of course all year long, with all their studies and the diligence they put towards their schoolwork. It does build a lot of character as much as sports or cheerleading or the music program, I think, because it's very tedious to study. It's not very fun like sports and everything else can be. So it's always a treat when they come in. And I do want to thank the police chief, although he's already left the room, in talking about how to read those statistics. When that Brick Patch article came out, I was on the line like 3 minutes later with the police chief, having him explain it to me, where did this information come from. He had given me a bullet point that I could address at council if the need arose. And I'm glad it did come up tonight, because we know that we are not in the 200s of safest towns in New Jersey. I mean, you can count on your fingers and toes places that are much worse off than we are. So I'm glad that the record was set straight on how those stats come out and where to find good information and disregard the negative, bad, unfactual information. And that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to say we had a Public Works Committee meeting, and I just want to bring up We don't have all the numbers in for last year's savings on the recycling, so I'm going to wait till they all come in from the county and get everything together, to give it all at once instead of giving it piecemeal. There are presentations going on with that to the people are interested in Greenbrier 1, Lions Head South, to come out and give them some tips on that there. And I went to a few DARE graduations that were there with the mayor and Councilman Mumbolo and Heather. And also, speaking about Maple Leaf, is I know we're trying to stop the dealers and everything, but we're going to have a bunch of these people that need help, and they're hooked on these drugs. They're only the users, and the problem is with the users, you can either go somewhere else, or they got to get some kind of help. And I know when, let's say they get a minor offense in this town, that just the pamphlets handed out here. I think it's got to go a lot further, and I did talk to Judge Lepore about it, and he was going to talk to the prosecutor in Ocean County to see if they can come up with this program that there's a certain program existing, maybe they can extend it to the user and and get them help so they can stop using, so they won't go down there to buy it, you know. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Just briefly, I want to thank the kids who came out tonight to receive their Student of the Month awards, and I really want to thank Dr. Yu for coming out and being supportive of those kids, because it means a lot to see your face here when they're receiving their awards, and also the mayor's face, but it really means something for them to see you, because they do see you as a authority figure, so it helps with our general plan of trying to reduce drug use. It helps to show children doing the right thing every day, and holding them out as role models. So I really appreciate you coming. I also appreciate Chief Berquist coming to almost every meeting that we've ever had to answer questions such as come out tonight. I know it may seem at times that the proceedings here are adversarial, but it's really not. First of all, I'm Italian and I talk loud, so you can't take what I say as yelling. I'm not yelling, I'm just talking. The second thing is we're all on the same team. All of our goal is the same, to make Brick better. All of our goals we're trying to achieve in different ways, whether through sitting on council or serving as a citizen on different committees, or sitting in the audience and making comments. They're all contributions that help assist our community to become better. So I want to thank everyone who's here today, and I want to thank everyone for their comments, and I hope that everyone takes it in the spirit for which it comes and takes it from an Italian girl saying it. I also want to say that I am really impressed by the work that Ms. Councilwoman Zapsig has done, and also Councilman Fosman has done, in terms of this really multiphasic and multifaceted approach to Maple Leaf. This council works together in a way that I can't put into words. All that I could say is there is one agenda to make Brick better, and everyone does their part in their own way to try to make that happen. From the people who focus on the problems with Evergreen to the people who focus on the problem with Maple Leaf and other communities like that, I want to thank every person on council for doing their parts, large or small. The last thing I want to just reiterate is I'm still seeking prayers, whether you are atheist, I really don't care. Just any type of prayers for my niece Domenica, who is 8 weeks old today. You can go under Facebook and go under prayers for Domenica and see what she looks like. She's my niece, and she's been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and I appreciate any prayers that anyone can give. With that, keep your eye on the seniors as the weather deteriorates. Please call your friends and family who are seniors. Make sure they go grocery shopping, or you go grocery shopping for them, especially as our temperature dips. Make sure that anyone who doesn't have to get out of the house doesn't. And I'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Vice President.
Thank you. I also had the chance, as Councilman Fosman said, to go to a couple of the DARE graduations. It's really great to see the kids take the responsibility, take the DARE oath, and be able to make smart decisions. Officer Tara and Officer Job do a phenomenal job. They are outstanding at really connecting with the kids and just making them understand the seriousness of the situation, but also making it fun and being able to answer any and all questions at all times for them. Bunch of us also attended the Pioneer Fire installation dinner, and I want to wish those officers that were newly installed good luck this year and congratulations. As Lynette, our clerk, said, our rabies clinic is this Sunday at Drum Point Sports Complex, and there will be buy-in brick cards available. So if anybody needs one, please go to the Drum Point if you're getting your animal getting their rabies shot. Along with buy-in brick, recently we just sent out letters for any kind of spring contractors, labor, or pool, landscaping, outside contracting, fencing, to become part of buy-in brick, because it's coming up to the season. I know we're possibly expecting snow, but people are planning their spring, what is it, landscaping? Spring housekeeping and all that kind of stuff. So we are looking for those contractors to become part of the program. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Council Vice President. First off, I'd like to thank the mayor, Dr. Ewinski, our superintendent of schools, and congratulate all the children again that came out. It's a great job they're doing. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Councilwoman Lydecker, for starting that program. And when you're feeling a little better, I'll have you back down here too. That'll be great. Also, I had the honor of filling in for the mayor at the Vets Elementary School with the chief, and Dr. Ewinski was there as well. Great. It's awesome to see that many kids that are doing the right thing, on the right track. It's great that's going on in all the schools. A couple months ago, or I think it was in November, a resident came up and questioned about our do not knock resident, if we had something. We do have a no knock ordinance. And what you need to do, this is what happens is if somebody's coming to solicit in town, they come and get a license from the clerk. And if you come down, sign up, it's $1 for the sticker. You put it on your door. Also, the person going around will have your address to not knock. So this will keep people away that you don't want away from soliciting for money and things of that nature. So that's available. That's available now. So anybody could come down and get that starting tomorrow. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Appreciate it. We appreciate all the comments. I've asked everybody, and we all up here have respect for anybody coming out, no matter what the comments may be, but if the person is going to attack any one of us, attack anyone in this township, attack anyone personally in the town while they're not up here to defend themselves, this is not the forum for that, and I'm not going to allow it. I will have the person removed. I'm not also going to allow any politicking. So this is good. It's the first full meeting for me, so we'll get it all out in the open. It's not going to be tolerated, and that's what I have to do about that. We appreciate it. We want people to come out. This is how we find out what's going on in town. It's very important. Thank the Pioneer Fire Company for their banquet. Congratulations to everybody there. Going to get some snow tomorrow. Everybody be careful. Hopefully we don't get too much. And that's all I have. A motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.